Perfect, perfect. Okay, so guys, welcome in the ZKULTURE number two. Um, Today it's a special day because I start ZKULTURE with another another project uh, than Mina Protocol. So today's the big question is really simple to say, but our few answer. Um, the big question is who are you when no one is watching? Um, to recapitulate, the culture is not a technical deep dive into technology and technical worlds. It's just a real conversation about freedom, identity, and how money plays into both. So, welcome to Squirrel. Um, and I want to have a little presentation about you and what is ZCrub and in simply word and really rapidly to making context.
Of course. Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I've been looking through what ZCulture has been doing, and it's really impressive. I love what you guys have as like an ethos, keeping it accessible for people, um, and digging into why we are involved with privacy projects. I think is important. So I'm Squirrel or ZK Squirrel. I've been in the Zcash ecosystem for around 3 or 4 years. I started as a community note taker. So I would join research and development meetings and create like an accessible summary for the community. Shortly after that, I joined the ZecHub project. And so we create educational content about Zcash and about privacy tech. And alongside that, we host a bounty program. So we invite people from across the crypto ecosystem to join and contribute to Zcash. This includes like creating documentation. So if you go to zechub.wiki, you'll see a bunch of wiki docs which were made by people from around the crypto ecosystem. And in rewards for their contribution, we pay them in Zec, in shielded Zec. Alongside that, we host podcasts and we create video tutorials. And yeah, we have a community in Discord. So that's discord.gg/Zcash.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for this presentation. And uh, I think Zcash community, the code, is the best project and person. You are the best person to talk about freedom, privacy, because Zcash is the not the first one privacy project, but the first one to have the most popular opinion about privacy. So yeah, I love ZCub and your contribution, your works about to educate about privacy and create projects. It's incredible, and I love that. I'm in this lot to content creation and vulgarize, amplify um, Web3 and privacy project. Uh,
Exactly.
so yeah, we can start this culture to introduce a big problem about the money because money talk a lot and sometimes it talk too much. So in my mind, every project purchase, every transfer, every tip, it all tell a story about you. And today, that story is public by default because with Bitcoin and all the public blockchain, every transaction can be traced. And it's a great advancement for something soft, but it's a bad advancement for privacy because every transaction can be traced and all your transaction can tell something about you. So when money is traceable, um, what does that change in the way we live, act, and express ourselves? Is the first question for you, Krivel.
Good question. Yes. Um, so yeah, just as you said, the most popular, the most used blockchains at the moment are transparent and they reveal every single piece of information about your financial activity. Um, so I'd just like to also briefly mention it may seem as though credit cards and like the traditional banking system is a bit better. Maybe in some ways it is a bit better because your account balance and the people who you transfer money to or receive money from aren't explicitly like just easily searchable in an explorer, but those still do sell data to brokers. And this is like some incentive for companies to try and access this information and use it in different ways. So yeah, I'd just like to mention that it's bad. It's really bad on blockchains, and it's quite bad on the traditional banking system. Um, so yeah, your question was like, what does this do to us? What was the question?
The question, when money is traceable, um, what does that change in the way we live, act, and express ourselves? Like, it's, uh, for example, in my mind, when every things that you make is traceable, you cannot express yourself really um, authentic. Um,
Yeah,
on my mind, it's like if your smartphone is traceable, um, you cannot tell all that you want to say. You cannot tell something. You cannot take all the pics that you want, and it's the same thing for financial freedom. Because when you want to buy something, you need to reflect about who can see that,
mm,
what it's a problem for people, and all of these terrible questions. Um, it's for that I think when money is traceable like Bitcoin or public blockchain, it's a really bad news um for people because every people in the blockchain can see your uh your wallet, see your transaction, and it's the same thing that um, every well is trusted for their buy or sell trading,
yeah.
and that's a big problem. It's the question when money is traceable, what's changed in the life generally.
Yeah, it's this is such an interesting point. And it might get a bit techy. So, yes, people begin to act out of fear. So, where you at one point may have gone to like a business to, I don't know, purchase a specific product, or you're making a donation to a specific organization. When it's on a transparent chain, you're going to think twice about it, right? Um, there's some people who just aren't aware, and for those people who aren't like taking good precautions. They are like revealing, their account balance, potentially more information, and so they're actually, possibly putting themselves uh in danger in some way. Um, but it also has like an effect of like removing it would actually degrade the usage of the chain itself. And I think we've begun to see this with Bitcoin, where it's being seen as digital gold and it's no longer being seen as a method of payment for people. And that's because, you know, I think probably people who have lots of Bitcoin are aware of these issues and they're not going to be using it as everyday money. And and because we have these third party entities which are monitoring the chain, um, and they're taking like risk scores of where the Bitcoin has come from. If it's come from a specific country, which is like on a banned list, or if it's coming from a suspicious like business, um, it won't be accepted into certain merchants because they have these uh, like services which are blocking Bitcoin or whichever asset from entering. And so when that happens, um, the chain itself begins to become more fungible. Sorry, more non-fungible. So you get to the point where some Bitcoin is worth more than others because of where it came from. And when that happens, essentially it stops working. So like when people say Bitcoin is digital gold, that's the beginning of this process.
Yeah, it's an interesting takes because um since long time, since the beginning of Bitcoin, and when I um heard about Bitcoin the first time in 2024 20,000, not sorry, I real problem with number in English. 2040, I don't know.
You
Yeah.
can get
Yeah.
2014.
Oh, yeah. I read the first one Bitcoin at 2040, and since this time, I've always thinking, Bitcoin is a digital gold, and since I've heard about Zcash, I think it's a better way for digital private gold in my mind. And Bitcoin, um, as you say, Bitcoin is for people that's digital gold, and people don't want to buy something with Bitcoin. It's like when you buy some gold in um traditional system, you buy gold not to purchase your baguette, your chipotle, or I don't know. So Bitcoin is the same thing, but for Bitcoiners, maxi Bitcoiners, Bitcoin will replace everything. They replace the money, they replace the gold, they replace etc. 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 But in public blockchain, the big problem is everyone can see your transaction. And it's a big problem for privacy, but for something others like, I don't buy something with gold. So
Yeah.
if Bitcoin replace everything, it's not the digital gold for me. And the big place of Zcash in this uh, ecosystem is to become l- like the cash for digital era. Um, it's my take for that.
Yeah.
And I have another question for people. Why should everyday people care about financial privacy? Why they need to make that?
So that's for the audience.
Sorry?
Was the question for the audience?
For you?
Oh, right. Okay. Yes. Um. So why should people care about financial privacy? Quickly before I answer that question, I'm going to jump back to the previous one, and I'm going to say Bitcoin essentially cannot be digital gold. And the reason is gold is valuable because it's fungible. So I can have a gold necklace or a gold bracelet or a gold coin, and I can melt it and I can turn it into anything. So central banks usually turn them into gold bars and they exchange them in trade, or they just store them and hoard them, right? So one of the key aspects of gold is that you can break it down, turn it into something else, and pass it on. Bitcoin is the exact opposite of that, in which there's a full record of exactly where it came from. And if it came from a bad place, then suddenly it's worth less. So, yeah, Bitcoin maybe cannot be digital gold, but um, why should people care about financial privacy? I think there's a, a plethora of reasons. Um, the main one is it's freedom. It's uh, firstly, it's a basic human right, and it's a right because it gives people a level of freedom um, wherever they are. So yeah, why does it give people freedom? Like, what happens when people don't have privacy in their transactions? Um, we're beginning to see we've seen quite a lot of it already, where like the easy example, which everyone will be familiar with, is like you buy something on Amazon and suddenly you're receiving advertisements for it. So you first of all you have this feeling that you're being watched, right? And secondly, there's like it's bi-directional. So you make a purchase of something and this company starts advertising to you, right? So when this happens, people can begin to get influenced, right? So you can receive advertisements for something, but you can also receive messaging. So if you're on a social network, um, they can see that this person likes to buy, I don't know, like gardening tools, and so they'll start sending you environmental protection things, right? Or maybe they'll send you the opposite of that to try and change your mind. So it actually affects society. Um, it affects political elections. Um, yeah, it really affects a lot of things, which are important.
Mm, yeah, yeah. I'm totally agree with that. And for to add something, if in this traditional system we lost we have a lot of anonymity, and that's changed expression in everything in the life. Like um, and even more in crypto, because a lot of things happen in crypto, like some scam, like uh, some physical damages for our the stage phrase. In crypto, it's really dangerous to be traceable and uh, don't care about financial privacy, because if everyone can see your wallet, everyone can want to attack you to have this. Uh, I live in France, and these last 2 3 months, we have a lot of um uh I have not the word, uh aggression for crypto, because people think um crypto crypto guy is always a millionaire. That's a big problem. So loss of anonymity, charmed expression uh, to you. Um, and secondly, financial surveillance, uh, it's equal like power imbalance. So if um, government, bank, company can see your transaction and your finance, um, you can be subject to some trouble about that. Because a little example, in France, if you want to spend more than 1,000 euro, you need to explain why you want to buy something to your bank. And it's a big problem for just freedom. Like you said, financial privacy is crucial for freedom. And to all people who tell, um, I have nothing to hide, uh, I think privacy isn't about hiding. It's more like about having space to be yourself and to have a secret garden, you know. So, yeah, for me, financial privacy is really important. It's for that we are here today. It's to explain why your finance need to be private.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. I think um what we kind of see growing in society is like maybe a slight apathy towards the like growth of this type of surveillance. It hasn't always been like this. So what things like Zcash and other ZK privacy protocols do is they bring the power of like consent over sharing data. And this doesn't just apply to like financial transactions. It also applies to like your internet, right? So very recently in the UK, suddenly now to access YouTube or like even like educational resources, which might be associated with like 18 plus content, you need to upload your photo ID and you need to scan your face. So, like, suddenly now it's difficult to access information. Um, and so, yeah, what these things do is like they bring the power of consent to like over which what information you're sharing. Okay, so there are ways to prove that you are of a specific nationality and you're of a certain age, but you don't reveal your face or your home address or any of the other your name or any other details that you're not comfortable sharing. So that's the power of ZK, and yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's I'm totally agree with that. It's the pearls of ZK to be confidential, private, but we can stay compliant with regulation. And it's the power of ZK, because when we have full anonymity, we are out of compliance and regulation. And when we are too transparent, we lost our fundamental right of privacy. And you you tell something in internet in general, we are subject to have some scam, hack, deepfake, fake news, etc., etc., etc. And if we can integrate ZK in the traditional internet, we can have some like, like ZCApp who have all the information on the app is verified, or we can verify the information in a blockchain. And it's the same thing for your data, your personal sensitive data. When you go to a ZK app with native ZK, you can prove something like your age, like your name or whatever, without revealing all the sensitive data. And that's what we fight for the moment.
Exactly.
It's to have a better internet.
Yeah, although I should make, at least, one distinction. So, Zcash is like a totally permissionless protocol. So anybody in the world is able to access this and make private payments. But yeah, just to reiterate on my previous point, the whole reason for this is that it brings the ability to consent back to the individual. So if there is like some compliance requirement, it's up to the user to share that information. So you can do things like you could even with like Tornado Cash, it was possible for people to share a view key and show like where the source of funds. Um yeah, so this is like a core principle which we should be fighting for as well the is for permissionless protocols which provide people these capabilities.
Yeah, yeah. I've thought a lot, and I continue to talk about that. ZK is not for hiding something. It's more like to have the choice to share or not, and consent to give your information. Um, if you have something to add to this part, let's talk. If not, we can enter in a big spotlight on Zcash and ZecHub.
Yeah, I'd love to. Um Yeah, that was really what I had to mention about, like, financial privacy and why it's important. Um, yeah, I think yeah, we could move on.
Okay, no problem. I've um I've another question in the what privacy unlock, if you want. I've this question. It's to what's possible in a privacy first economy that isn't possible now.
Really good question. Um, yeah, so I think growth, right? So when you see censorship happening in all the examples of like countries or governments which have begun to um, censor people, those countries, like let's think of the Soviet Union, um, they had a lot of censorship, and their economies were like very slow. They didn't grow. If you can compare it to America, where there was much more freedom, uh, the rate of growth was so much faster. Um, yeah, and I think this is because like when people have the freedom to create things and have rights to their creations, like intellectual property. They can sell it to a company if they wish. Um, like they have more freedoms, and I think that this allows their economies to grow faster. I don't know about any specific examples, um, which we could expect. Yeah.
If you want, I have a specific example of um, don't have uh, privacy and freedom in that. The best example is Tornado Cash. When developer have create something for innovation and try to make privacy more relevant, he's incarcerated and go to the jail because he has created a tool for privacy. And that's the best example of what privacy can enable. If this developer haven't be doxed and haven't be traceable, he can innovate, try something, and improve the tool that he works. And for now, this incarceration tells something like that. You can innovate until you reach a certain red limit. And if it's not for our personal interest, you go to the jail. And yeah, I think the big example of what privacy can enable in the economy. Um,
That's such
and
a good
if
example.
everyone is doxed and sorry, tell me.
No, continue. That's such a good example.
Uh, and I'm not really informed about all the case, but that's I retain. It's you are a genius developer. You create a tool, and some bad people use it for bad reasons, and you are accused. You are the target of the government. So for me, it's a big problem in our society. If this developer have more um, privacy and choice to share or not something, maybe at this time he can continue to innovate something.
Indeed, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, so let's think about it. So in this example that you've given, it's the government that's going after developers who are creating new things which would drive the economy, the on-chain economy in this instance. But it can also be that the government is permissioning only certain businesses that you can make payments to. So um, I think it's in India where they have, I think they're launching like a test of their central bank digital currency. And and I think also in China, it's the case where only specific merchants are able to accept those central bank digital currency payments, right? And so when that happens, you you get like a centralization of places where you're able to spend your own money. And so yeah, this I think would also slow the growth of countries to an extent.
Y- Yeah, yeah. And you make a big take here because um CBDC. Sorry, sorry, a little moto, a little bike who drive in the road. Sorry. Um, so CBDC for me, it's a big problem for our society, and to centralize every payment in one system, make more surveillance. Uh, make more control on the people, and that's a big problem for freedom. Um, it's a relevant question. I think this subject can be an entire space dedicated, but I I am totally agree that CBDC is really uh, I don't have the word to but I don't know if you understand what I want to say.
Yeah, I can think of a few words.
Okay. Um. So yeah, to to continue in this way, I want to recapitulate what privacy can unlock, and you can add something. So, firstly, private money restores the autonomy and enable the possibility to manage your own financial. And I think people are scared to manage their own money. You know, I think it's a little fear about the most of the population because we are conditioned to uh, gives our money to the bank and the bank manage it for her. And yeah, I think privacy money restore autonomy, but some people don't be really. Some people are afraid about that. That's the first point. But and secondly, ZK can enable verification without exposure, and it's a big take of ZK. Um, and thirdly, normalizing privacy make it less suspicious. That if everyone have in mind privacy is normal, um, it's a big step to reduce suspicious when people tell something like I love privacy, I love my privacy, and I don't want to have some people who can trace and see what I make, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah. And so here's actually an important thing to think about. Um, if like we're on the internet and we share ideas, we say what we're thinking, we have opinions, and I suppose you may think that everything you're sharing is like perfectly okay today. But in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time, this data would still be available on those centralized servers. And because of this, um, someone like an entity, a government entity might be able to see who is a possible dissident. And like it's been shown that in cases like this, they're able to freeze people's bank accounts, they're able to stop people's Bitcoin transfers. Um, and so the two big things are, excuse me, self custody. So the reason you should be interested in crypto is because you own your money, right? But if you do own your money and it's on a public blockchain, it's possible to freeze funds when they're going into like merchants or exchanges or to services. And secondly, it reveals exactly who you are. So there's like a security issue there. So if you're going to have self custodied funds, 100% they have to be private. Um, yeah, if you're going to be your own bank, you need to behave as though you are a bank.
Yeah, I'm totally agree, and it's I've asked this question to Zuko at the beginning. I I was trying to use Zashi, and I asked this question to Zuko. Uh, it's possible to buy Zach without to pass to tax and use a DEX to buy directly Zec with euro or dollar. And he tell me, I don't know if it's possible. Uh, and it's a big problem because, if we need to use a sex uh, with central entity to buy private money, if government want to stop it, they can. And it's another problem, another big question to answer. The only way to buy some private money without to go in a sex, it's the peer-to-peer payment. And what do you think about that?
I would agree. It's a huge problem. Um, so I should state, like, at the moment, I was saying about, like, how things may be okay now, but in 5 or 10 years, they may not be. At the moment, like, it's perfectly fine and acceptable to purchase Zcash in a number of countries. Shielded Zcash is, like, perfectly acceptable in the United States, um, and in the UK and across Europe. Um, or at least it's possible to purchase transparent Zcash on an exchange and transfer it to your own personal wallet, at which point you can shield it, make it private. Um, I would love to see peer-to-peer exchanges add support for Zcash. Um, right now, we have DEXs, so we have My Protocol support and we have Near Intents. And I hope maybe at some point in future we may get Sarai DEX as well. There's Decred DEX. Um, but yeah, we do need P2P on ramps. But it's not too big of a deal because you can purchase USDC and you can exchange it for ZEC, or you could purchase Ethereum and you could swap it. I think Near Intents has like 0% fees, so you're not losing anything by swapping whichever asset into ZEC so that you can hold it privately.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen that, and I see another news about Zcash. Gemini Sx have enabled unified address for Zcash.
Yeah, Gemini is awesome. I think it's Tyler and what's the other guy's name? The Winklevi twins. Um, yeah, they're longtime supporters of Zcash. They've actually had shielded withdrawals for a very long time. But now it just makes it much more easier for people to withdraw to their wallet. Like they don't need to worry about which addresses they're pasting into the exchange. So yeah, I mean, this adoption of Zcash's shielded tech is growing. I think we're going to see unified addresses on other chains as well, possibly Ethereum. Um, so yeah, good things happening.
Yeah, yeah, it's the perfect transition for the last part of this phase. Is make a little spotlight on Zcash and ZCub, um, because we have some tools that exist today. Um, and Zcash has been fighting for financial privacy for years. And ZCub, as you say at the beginning of the phase, make sure the budget and the vision are heard with educational content and, and support content, etc., etc. So, can we deep a little bit on ZCub, like with some question, like what role does ZCub play in Zcash ecosystem? Um, how is Zcash used in the real world?
Yeah.
How
Um,
do you bring privacy to people who don't care about blockchain yet?
oh, good question. Um, right. So I think, what role does ZecHub play in the Zcash ecosystem? We are like an educational hub, but I think we're also a community as well. So, like people who are interested in earning ZEC rewards join the community and they begin to learn about Zcash and other privacy technologies. And it becomes, yeah, like a nice place where people can join and learn and gain new skills. Um, Another role, I think, this is quite an important one, is playing a role in the ZEC ecosystem. So you can talk about things like Zcash or privacy chains um, as just like pieces of technology, but fundamentally, what they are means of exchange, right? They're currencies. And for any currency to be useful, it has to be transferred for goods and services. Um, so yeah, ZecHub is, I think, one of the leading like forces in driving ZEC payments for goods and services. One of the cool things we've done is start a store. So we're demonstrating that it is possible to like create your own store and start accepting ZEC payments. And so it's like the real world use case of this tech is what drives change. Um, what was your other question?
Um, I want just to continue the discussion about that you say it's possible to create a store and pay in ZAC.
Yes, it is. So yeah, I think you can go to zechub.wiki/payment dash processes and you'll see you can accept Flexer and you can accept something called Zgo, which is a payment gateway, a payment processor, or you could add BTC Pay Server to your website. Um, and so simply by installing the plugin, adding a view key, and setting a Light Wallet server, you can begin accepting ZEC payments at your business.
Okay, but because it's a little tricky normally, but I will talk about that now. I'm currently to create something. I don't reveal anything, but I create something, a store, and I want to add crypto payment. But I don't want to have crypto payment who can be trusted, etc. And if I want to implement ZEC in my store, it's possible. Even it's a Shopify store.
Yeah, I think Shopify does have BTC Pay Server. I'm going to need to double check on that. Yeah, I will need to check. I know for sure that Shopify has support for I think it's coin payments or now payments actually. Um, but the only issue is their ZEC support is transparent only. So it's possible for someone who has funds that are private to pay into your transparent address, but the amount that you hold will be publicly available.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's obvious that uh, a payment need to be seen at one moment.
Yeah.
But more we can have private uh, private things in the journey of the 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 followers or the purchaser or etc. The client. It's a really big thing to have because my store will be not exclusive for the Web3, but it's a big part. And if we can pay in ZAC, that will be incredible, you know?
Yeah, I'd love to help you.
Yeah, I continue to work on the store, and when the payment process coming, I will reach you to help me for that. Be sure for that.
Okay.
Um, and uh, the last question for this spotlight, and how do you bring privacy to people who don't care about blockchain yet?
Well, I think the responsibility is on the developers of whichever product they want people to use. So if we could use an example like Polymarket, it's so popular because people don't even necessarily know like there's crypto behind it. If you have a good enough user interface, if you have a good enough user experience, you can abstract away all the crypto blockchain stuff and just have people using an app as they would normally. I think that's where we should be like putting our focus on.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with that, and I've see and I've thought a lot something like that. Um, if we can have an UI and UX web do design with Web3 um Web3 things like payment or facilitating the onboard to Web3. Like I think the mass adoption uh, come with Web 2.5, 1 to 3. Okay, I think the mass adoption were coming with Web 2.5 hub.
I like that.
Between Web 2 and Web 3.
Yeah. And maybe that's intense because they can interact with Web 2 stuff, Web 2 services, and they can interact with Web 3 stuff. So maybe we should call intense Web 2.5.
Yeah, okay, okay, perfect, perfect. Um, okay, so the last thing for the space is just the future. Um, if privacy becomes the norm, um, if private money become as common as cash on us, how would the world feel different? And I think it's just a recapitulating of all this space, but if you can answer to it with some word.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I can't see the future. I don't know. But what I do know is that for the vast majority of like human history, money has been private. It's only since, I don't know, like 1990 where, we, or maybe 1980, where we began to like see a lot of um, surveillance growing within people's individual finances. Um, so yeah, when was the last time you used cash? Right? Um, Cash has been normal for a very long time, and I think we'd just be returning to a norm, right? So we'd be going back in time versus going forward in time. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I see, you you're thinking because we don't see the future, but more we continue to go forward to a system where privacy is the norm, with our fight like now, um, I think people will start it to take intentions, uh, the importance to have privacy in finance, in their life, in their data, etc., etc. And I think privacy can enable um, a better future for some trusted communities. Uh, People can spend, donate, or invest more freely. Like, it's the same thing that I said more, more before. Um, in France, when you want to buy something more expensive than 1,000 euro, you need to give some clarification to the bank, and I think it's a big problem if you want to buy a car, if you want to buy, I don't know, or if you want to donate something to your child or your father, your mother. If you need to clarify every expense more than 1,000 euro, I think it's a big problem. So in a freedom, in a privacy era, that's more smooth to make that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I fully agree. It's
and
freedom of speech, right? So you want to be able to say your own opinion, right? You want to express that right. And you also want to be able to like send money or donate to causes that you support. And this is what the privacy tech enables.
yeah, yeah. So, um, in one financial world, um, in the end world, I think privacy is normal.
Yes, privacy is normal.
So yeah, it's the end of the space, and just a few words before ending that. Um, Privacy isn't just a feature, it's a space where we meet ourselves. Thanks to ZecHub for bringing Zcash vision closer to everyday life. And if it resonates, um, share the question to you, to your father, your friend. Who are you when no one is watching? Uh, don't hesitate to follow Squirrel, ZCub, Zcash, um, and for sure follow ZCulture for more space like this to talk human, talk privacy, talk freedom, and the N word is for you, Squirrel.
Oh, well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been awesome. I really love what you're doing. Yeah, I think it's sometimes we get like stuck too much in the technical topics where it's not it doesn't resonate with people. Um, so yeah, keep it up, and I'll be joining your future spaces. Thanks.
Thank you a lot. Thank you for all the listeners. Thank you. It's the end of the culture. And the last word, this is cool.